I'm gonna hope that these commentators can kind of work around each other. So we got Niskaev1 and Scratch Dragon coming in to commentate the Liin1 versus fcoughlin match, which is going to be starting right away. I'm going to switch over the layout, and I'm going to leave you guys to it.
So we see our friend Tina here entering this train. Why this train's here, we don't know. But it seems to be a yeah, you can't really get off. It's a train taking you to the other side.
All right. So as Tina's making her way nicely through the train, you see that she was taking a few extra steps. That was to help her in order to get a less dangerous encounter. Unfortunately, she did get a pincer attack, but it will definitely help in order to get through everything a little bit more quickly. And to avoid some of the more dangerous fights that do happen to you outside.
Man, sounds like you guys are having so much fun, we decided to bring another race into the mix.
Exhilarating, in fact.
I mean, there could never be enough Final Fantasy VI, right?
Of course not.
Just to... I guess the best way of explaining this is now we have our new challengers showing up, fcoughlin versus Liin. We're starting off at the beginning here. The other race that we have, Keen Hacks versus Ben Show Slide, still going on. I hope you guys are having a grand old time on the Phantom train over there.
We certainly are. We hope you're having a good time in Narshe.
I mean, what's there to say? We're starting right at the beginning again. Gotta get that Terra up to level 6 after before we move on and try and lead Narshe, right?
Of course.
Oops, when I unmute myself. It's Nitzkai.
Hey, there's my partner in crime.
You know, technology is hard. But, you know, our runners, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And Ben know what they're doing.
They obviously know what they're doing more than we do. I mean, we're just lowly commentators at this point. This is the creme de la creme of the Kefka and Narshe tournament right now.
It is. It's hard. When you get to the top 16, all of these runners, they know what you're doing, so you're going to see really small mistakes. Kind of, I lost LCC yesterday by about just 2.5 minutes, which isn't that bad, but you know, 127 and he had a 124.5. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, very casual 124. I still can't believe that run, but. For anyone that's just joining us, we're just starting off at the bottom race here with Liin versus fcoughlin. We're gonna go ahead and see if both of these runners can go ahead and get the Welk skip. So, you want to go over the Welk skip real quick?
Yeah, for sure. So Welk is this really amazing boss that's supposed to teach you about the new battle system and how it works. What we can do though is, you know, people have been in the lab. You're able to hit the Welk twice, and then you're able to counter and cancel with the shell, which sort of resets his ATB. That we can do 3 missiles per usual, easy peasy. Both runners have Welk, and there you go.
All right, sorry to interrupt you guys, but we got Tina going into the Phantom train. She did have a little bit of bad luck with the with a bomb taking Cyan out.
Yeah, doing around maximum damage for what he had at the time. And she does suplex.
We're getting all the joy out of this this Phantom Train fight. Suplex, interceptor takedown, and then the Phoenix down to finish it off.
Say it's not a run, chat, unless Sabin pummels. It's down. That do matter.
You had a very close one yesterday, didn't you, Nitz?
Very clutchy, let me tell you.
Oh,
Very
baby.
clutchy.
I don't think I could have squeezed my sphincter any more than when I was watching that. I was there like, oh baby, all the luck. But looks like both these guys are getting through the intro scene here. Nothing really to go on except a little bit of story about our girl Tara. We got 2 more times for her to be in well, amnesia state, so to speak. So for anyone that may have missed it earlier on, we're going to get an opportunity to rename Tara here, and we're going to go ahead and just remove all those extra pesky characters and just leave her as the one character T. We do this because the game actually has what's called scrolling text, which means each character shows up one at a time. So if we remove those 4 characters, we get through text boxes a little bit faster, and it actually adds up quite a bit over the course of the game.
For the break-in, guys, Ben just got himself blazed by bombs and lost 7.
That sounds a little tricky for suplex. You can't really suplex a train if you're dead, right? Or what is it in this game? Is it wounded?
Yes.
Yeah, I do believe it's wounded. I think 4 is swoon.
Okay, so just while Ben goes ahead and gets himself over to the front of the train, we're gonna go back to our Liin versus fcoughlin race here. Tara's gonna go ahead and fight these fights here and get to level 6, which is gonna lead to some very slick manipulation, because our characters that join our party is based on our average party level. So because we have Tara, we want to get her to level 6, so our next party member will join at level 7.
You got Ben Show entering with his Phantom Train fight now.
And Tina, unfortunately, took an extra step someplace and is getting Crass Hoppers, which will throw off her step route on the Veld.
One nice quick fight for Ben Show to get himself out of the fight.
Unfortunate pincer for fcoughlin here. It's frame based, so unless you can see the frames, it obviously didn't see the frames. So this is going to slow him down. 3-second loss. He's already through to the next fight, so definitely interesting to see how he might recover from that.
Yeah, it sucks to get the pincers in this part of the game, because Tara can actually multicast fire, which is pretty nice, but when you're in a pincer, you can't multicast on both sides of the screen, so you actually have to cast fire one at a time there.
Attack, just to save, I guess it's not a...
Alright, so now we've got Tina moved into the Piranha and Razapass fight on the waterfall. So here we're going to be doing a little bit of a glitch in order to set off Cyan doing an obscene amount of damage and skipping a cutscene, or skipping a trigger that would force us to fight Razapass. So as we see, we've already killed off Cyan. Alright, Tina's already killed off Cyan and has brought him back to life. Now in this case, once he's back to life, if he uses retort after having died, it does something wonky with the AI of what it triggers based off of. And now it triggers off of everything. So once we attempt to suplex a piranha that can't be suplexed, he triggers his attack and swings through, and it ends the fight instead of summoning Rise of Pass. Or more piranhas.
Fun fact, this is actually new for this tournament. The first time through, this wasn't found. So just...
Right. So I don't know who actually ended up finding that, but it's the trigger, it gets all confused because, believe it or not, retort is actually a magic attack, and then blitz is a physical attack. And when you manage to do both at the same time, the game gets confused and just ends the fight. I don't blame it. I would be confused too if I found out retort was magic. Meanwhile, back
just
on.
It's more cutscenes on Liin and FF6. Narshe. To see.
Well, I mean, there's a treasure hunter over there. I mean, some call him a thief, but I mean, I would call that just slander, and I would sue them.
Agree with you there. So we're going to do just like we did with Terra there, drop them down to one character. Usually L. Sometimes if use us there, you get rid of the L, you just get an A. Everybody's happy.
We got Tina with an unfortunate battle on the Veld with the Lobo Guard battle and a pincer. Thankfully, you can't get Gao in it anyway. Is it one?
Yeah, it's the one from Narshe.
Okay, I wasn't sure if it was a little bit off because of the fact that she did get the grasshoppers, but
the first two fights are always going to be those two. If she was on step route, even if she got grasshoppers.
If she gets grasshoppers, the first fight changes, right? Because it doesn't become brawlers; it becomes the other things, I believe.
Yeah, she had Ammonite, or I don't even know what it was. The river battle.
Okay.
She's gonna actually have 3 bombs and I believe.
Right, because the step route is slightly off, where unfortunately she would end up getting the 3 bombs and the 3 ghosts. I believe it's 3 ghosts then 3 bombs, but
I might have had the other bomb.
I'm not sure myself, so we'll just have to wait and see. Oh, incorrect. We're wrong altogether. It's 3 grasshoppers.
You know, hey. But we do see Liin here just getting into the martial fight, and much easy peasy. Use Mog. Make sure he doesn't get netted, basically, and it's not difficult, that's for sure.
Actually, the most difficult part, I would say, would just be making sure we took our time and took off the mithril pike, and your optional, if you wanted it, the mithril shield.
Here we're showing Tina with some good luck, and first encounter that she wanted to see Gao, she ended up managing to get him.
It should be stated that Gao showing up in given battles 5/8 chance, and unlike one of our other runners this morning, who had to wait 4 battles to get Gao, it can be very finicky.
You definitely don't want 4th try Gao.
Yeah, it gets kind of complicated after the route. You get a ghost, a bomb, and then you get the mammoth fight in the 3rd one, and that fight's just terrible with just Cyan and Sabin, because it has a no running flag, much like it did when in Narshe. So you have to kill all of them, and they can actually do quite a bit of damage and actually wipe your team. Meanwhile, back on Liin and fcoughlin side, they're just making their way down to Figaro here, and if you notice, they're walking a little on the overworld. They walk in a very specific order because they're actually on. And while they're on step route, and on the world map, they want to walk over these non-encounter tiles. Those tiles actually prevent the threat level from going up, so we kind of any of those as we can to of encounters we would get overall in a run.
Also, the way that we walk is really important because, as you see on fcoughlin side, he didn't walk perfectly. He got Leafer and Darkwind, which means when he gets later on, it's harder to run with more enemies on the screen. Just the way the game is set up, so that's a little bit more time on Liin versus that.
Yep, so we're just coming up to our buddy E here, and we're going to go through a little bit of story. But how's it going over at Tina and Ben show side, boys?
Ben started with a little bit of bad luck, having Gao appear on his first battle, but then he got lucked out, and his first battle after getting the dried meat, he's also gotten it, so he's just into the Gao cutscene, and
Tina's about to enter into the Serpent's Trench.
So, what would you guys say is the most difficult part of the Serpent Trench? I mean, I've been through it a few times myself, and I have my own personal opinions, but I would like to hear what you guys think about it.
I'd like to say that the constantly evolving change in the formations, with you getting a side back attack or a preemptive on from the enemy.
the scariness of any of the pincer attacks that are generally the scariest part to me. But for the most, good luck with the, not necessarily in the matter of not losing characters, but making it out with like an inch of health. Like, I think I had my last character down to critical health like 3 or 4 times and made it through just fine.
Right, I've had a couple of occasions with that myself.
Did said it in chat, Aqua Rake. The first enemy nation in the trench is a single angler form. Single enemies seem to act very aggressive and can cast something called Aqua Rake, which can totally wipe your party just because we're super low level. That's always a danger to me, and should be potentially a danger to any runner.
Yeah, I've had a couple runs myself where I had the single Aqua form, and it was a back attack, so we managed to get off Aqua Rake immediately, and it bodies Cyan, and Sabin and Gao, if they're at full life, can survive it, but then you have to worry about the second fight, which, because in the Serpent Trench, you're not allowed to heal in between fights.
Yeah, you have to wait for the cave. Because you do pick the right path and then the left path when given the option to switch paths in the Serpent Trench in order to get the fastest way through. And obviously a little bit of safety by taking that right path in order to get yourself into the cave where you can heal up in case you do get a bad Anglerform fight with Aqua Rakes or whatever.
The first right path is actually incredibly shorter than the second right path, so it saves quite a bit of time instead of just going into that fight. But back to our Liin fcoughlin match, we're back at the castle. I'm sure we've been here before. Gonna go ahead and just do some more story triggers over here. Funny story about Final Fantasy VI. For people who play RPGs and watch speedruns of RPGs, they may not notice that movement actually matters quite a bit. Moving optimally is very important to save a lot of time. So just trying to make sure you don't walk into walls and just sit there for a second or come across NPCs and stuff like that. So one of the small optimizations that get these guys down to these like really low times, the 125s and the 124s, a lot of it can actually be attributed to that.
so that you don't bonk a wall and change the NPC value so that clock in a race lose about 10 seconds, that sort of thing.
Maybe, but so here it's looking like Tina got through the serpent trench all right, but just got to pick up the smoke bombs, and I believe she picked up the mithril pike.
Yeah,
She did
she
indeed.
purchased the Mithril Pike and 21 smoke bombs, so she's got plenty for the rest of the run.
Tina's used to no sketch, so she's probably just used to buying as many smoke bombs.
Yeah, she was also pausing, thinking about getting echo screens, and I think she had to stop herself.
Yeah, for anyone on our side, you saw her send lockdown to the second position. This is for later in the cave that we're going back through, because there's a monster in there called Gold Bear. If you can do a pincer attack, you want to be facing it, because it has a ability called Gouge, and if you're facing away from it, it will one-shot you.
Yeah, there is that that danger of the one shot from it.
Of all the great programming that this game has, that's the one thing they actually got correct. If you get attacked from behind, it does more damage. Imagine that.
Ooh, that is an unfortunate poison that Tina is taking. Hopefully she's got an antidote in her inventory, because nobody wants to walk through the cave with with poison.
She's
It's funny in this game, when you poison walk inside, you can barely see, but when you're poison walk...
Nice little heartbeat walking through the world map, walking through some open field. Sounds really fun.
What's happening on your guys' side?
We have a castle that seems to be going under the sand. I'm not quite sure. I think it was on fire, but these are the minor details right now.
Our first real look at our protagonist, or antagonist, I should say, Kefka, basically sending Bebop and Rocksteady out to try and take care of our intrepid group there.
Bebop.
Edgar has this super OP ability called Auto Crossbow. Take him out in 2 shots, baby.
Yep. Bebop and Rocksteady. I would like to think that's Vix and Wedge. They just came back from vacation after getting sent away by Welk.
Now, we have here on Tina's side, her using a Thunder Rod on this boss. It basically, the rods pierce defense and are super OP, in matter of fact. So, bing bang boom, it's done. And we're off.
Never thought of it being Vix and Wedge coming back.
Well, it is a pair of M-Tech armors, and they are wearing the same uniform.
I mean, I was just convinced that they got pushed into Final Fantasy VIII. You meet Biggs and Wedge there, since I'm sure that's what they were meant to be named.
Maybe.
Of course.
Maybe. But we'll have to theory craft that later on here. These guys are moving on to the cave to South Figaro. They're going to go ahead and they're going to take these encounters here and try and get their experience up. The levels we actually want, if you guys remember, party members join at the average party level plus modifier. We want our party to be Edgar at level 10, Locke at level 9, and Terra at level 8. That way our next party member will actually join at the average, which is 10 plus 1, which will be level 11. And they will come with a special move that will be very helpful later on in the game. So luckily our auto crossbow will just one-shot these enemies. So nothing really to see here. I believe that Tina and Ben are moving on in the scenario part right now.
Yes, Tina is entering the Narshe mines in a few moments, and Ben is right in South Figaro Cave, the block.
All right. We never got a chance to go over it. So would you guys like to explain how they managed to get out of South Figaro without actually doing the scenario?
Yes, I'll explain. Basically, due to us having the sprint shoes, we are able to move into position quickly enough where if we time it right, we can clip through the guard and just leave town.
Yeah, as we discussed earlier, this is how Locke is able to get in front of Terra, even though you walk through the door first. He just clips through her and goes about his business.
What a cheater.
Because the game's, such great quality coding, the game doesn't freak out. It's nice.
Depends on your definition of freak out, but then again, we do funny things to this game, so I don't blame it at all.
So right now we got Tina going through the security room. Now with the tagging the light is very simple if you're facing north. All you have to do is hold down A as soon as you start to trigger it, and you will automatically tap it on the first frame that you're able to. And you won't have to do the fight. You can skip the rest of the that little maze.
Just wanted to note for Liin vs. fcoughlin that fcoughlin is not on Step Route. I'm not sure exactly. So he did not get the proper encounters in Cave. So I'm curious how he's going to rectify that issue. Just one thing.
I don't know if I saw him actually set it up at the beginning of the race. That would just have to be something we would have to go back and take a look at. But meanwhile, Liin is picking up the Atlas armor. So the enemies in Mount Coates is a little bit stronger than what we're actually leveled to be. So we grab the Atlas armor to increase strength, which in return also increases the amount of damage auto crossbow does, which is very nice for what we need here.
Seeing Liin fighting those brawlers. It's what he's up to there.
I believe he does that if he gets a good ATB with Egger here instead of running away. That way you could just get the turn off and just end the fight immediately.
All right, now we've got Tina going into the final cutscene before the multi-party battle to finally bring us to our final fight of the race. And Bencho is entered into Narshe and going through the caves right now, making his way back.
Yep.
Just entering security room. Sorry, go ahead.
It's just going to give a small explanation for those who may just be joining us or joined us halfway through the race right now. We are doing the Kefka at Narshe tournament. This is the intro category for Final Fantasy VI. Final Fantasy VI is actually a pretty long game if you play some of the other categories. So if there are people who want to, just get started or just is learning how to play the game now or would like to learn how to play the game, this would be the category. Clock's pretty average. The average time is like an hour and a half. And for tournament purposes, it's a lot less of a time commitment than a 3-hour or 6-hour run. So if you want to get a feel for Final Fantasy VI and maybe you would be interested in learning maybe part of the game and see if you want to be interested in learning the entire game, I would recommend starting with Kefka at Narshe.
It's definitely a very fun little run to introduce you to what you're going to be kind of doing when you're going through any kind of an RPG speedrun anyway.
Also,
Yep.
Who is this Kudam character that we see on our screen? Valdegorn?
It's the general. It's one of the Imperial generals who's turned traitor.
I don't recall seeing her before.
Oh, no, she torched Miranda. I heard about her.
Did she now?
Yep.
Guys,
Everybody's claiming she's an Imperial spy, so...
do not look at the man behind the curtain. We see Liin just about to roll up to Vargas here. I think he has his levels. I think he's running away, so I would say he's
Yep, I would actually be very surprised if this was one of the things that Liin had a issue with. Lucky preemptive here. Nope, it looks like he's going to take this last fight here, and this will probably get Lock and Terra the last. Oh no, just got the preemptive and killed them. Okay, so that makes sense. So, gonna go ahead and heal up.
Liin with the hot tech. What can I say?
Well, I mean, if anyone ended up watching the race from last night, they'll know that these top racers just managed to get every frame for every preemptive.
I think we'll throw it over to the top match as they're coming towards the end there, and there's nothing really to see on our side.
Yeah, Tina safety save just in case something goes wrong with Kefka, and she split up her party into three ways with Locke being excluded. He's not important for this part. And basically, we just have our main kill group, which is of our powerhouses Edgar, Sabin, and the lesser powerhouses Cyan and Gao.
Yeah, and they are intentionally put into Group 2 in order to make the movement a little bit faster, so we can sneak past this first set of guards and move into a spot in order to move past the second set of guards as well. In doing this, we don't have to fight any of the actual other battles, and there is enough time for you to walk all the way up here and all the way back down before you have to continue on. And now let's see if she avoids the rider. Most people, once you're at this level, tend to be able to pretty consistently, but you never know sometimes.
She is reaching for second turn, getting off Sabin's first attack.
Yeah. The idea here is that we do want to avoid allowing Kefka to get too many attacks in before you do manage to beat him, because otherwise you do end up in a very dangerous spot where he can potentially ice 2 your entire party and instantly kill everyone, especially since the one person that usually would survive, Sabin, is not at maximum health.
He did give a poison, and Tina is done. Looks like she got off without getting a third turn. And for Tina, we have an official SRL time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 16 seconds.
Yeah, very nice run for Tina. Well done.
Well done indeed.
Now we got Ben just finishing up the cutscene. Gonna do, it looks like, his own safety save as well, and get ready to prepare himself for that final fight.
Yep, congratulations to Tina. She ends up taking her first win of the top 16. Let's throw Ben some energy so he can finish up strong here. Meanwhile, and in our other race here, it looks like Liin is he's blazing through right now. He managed to get to the returner's hideout, and it looks like Fred just finished up the Vargas fight.
I was watching. There was nothing of real significance. Liin didn't get Doomfist skip, but when you have a 31-18 Vargas time,
I mean, who's gonna complain?
exactly.
Alright, we got Ben moving into the Kefka fight now. Bringing it in. Seems to be properly weight tricking. Oh, you clicked a little bit too quickly and picked the wrong thing for Gao, but hopefully it works out for him.
Ben getting poisoned on Edgar.
Nice bit of damage out of Gao with that attack, though.
Yeah, indeed. Since he's berserked, it's definitely going to increase his attack power. And
Oh,
be
he
lucky
gets
with
a
the
bolt for the turn 3.
Single bolt too, which is very lucky for
Yeah.
Ben.
And he finishes.
And Ben finishes with a SRL time of 1 hour, 30 minutes, and 6 seconds.
Oh, well done to both of them.
Very well done.
Alright, so I'm just going to jump in here really quickly. Well, on my end, Ben finishes his fight since for some reason I'm too scared to close these windows right now because of how this has been today for me. But be sure to follow the runners that ran in this race, and be sure to follow those commentators. And we will be moving into a single race layout as soon as we see Ben finish on the stream here. And yeah, we'll have Nitsky and Scratch Dragon doing that one completely now on their own. So good luck, guys. Enjoy commentating that race for the last about hour of it.
Thank you, Riku.
Thank you very much, Riku. Thank you, Zero and Balder. Thanks for the commentary, guys.
You're very welcome.
Thanks for joining us, and see you later. Have fun.
You have fun. See you guys later.
All right, thank you very much. So
Let's see where we're at here now that all the excitement's over. Because on the next race here, it looks as though Liin is going into the manipulation. So again, some enterprising people were able to figure out a way to ensure that we can get 0 encounters, or at least 0 optional encounters on the river. There are potentially 9 encounters in total. 2 are forced. The other 7 are completely optional, and there's some magical universe where we can skip all 7. So, see Liin, the NPC, to walk onto the carpet. That gives us a good value to be able to go to this river and go through without a problem there. So, look for him to chill and hang out. A little bit of a break here after you run away a couple of times.
Yep, and I'm not sure if Liin will be taking the level 11 for Edgar here. If you can go ahead and fight these Petrodons here, and if you decide to fight the Petrodons, Edgar will be level 11 and make some of these fights a little bit more safe.
It looks as though he is going with the safe strat there, and taking level 11 Edgar, which is definitely not a bad idea.
Yeah, as you saw in the other race just now, Kefka can be kind of trolly, so having a level 11 Edgar to do a little bit more damage is very, very wise, at least for safe strats. But Liin should be getting no more encounters on the river here, so meanwhile, we have Fred going ahead and just doing his river manip. He might have been on the right sea, but if he's on the right,
I still think he can get the river here. The NPC's moving the way to, but he might have been a touch early. Shout out to RPG Valkyries with the raid. Welcome, Natara and friends.
welcome for everyone coming in from the RPG Valkyrie stream. This is the Kefka and Narshe race. We are in the middle of our top 16. We have Liin1 versus fcoughlin. This is going to be a really, really fun race. We're about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through here. And Liin's going to come up to everyone's favorite Ultros fight. Would you like to go over how the Ultros fight is actually pretty scripted?
And so much like Welk, we can kind of confuse Ultros's ATB by doing some counter canceling, and he gets stalled, he gets stuck. It was 1994. Programming was, but we're able to do these tricks with Terra. Terra's fire is what these counter cancels to occur. He counters with ink. Clutch block from Terra. Terra's like, that basically confuses Ultras's ATB. We can do more damage. Can drop down into the water and be everybody. And so far, not unexpected from Liin. He is hitting all of the weight tricks and all the counter cancels, and that's all, folks.
Yep. So this fight is heavily scripted. So typically, if you're not messing it up and you do it the same way every time, it will happen. It will work out the same way every time. The only one issue may be the first attack off of Ultros, but besides that, everything else should typically be the same.
Depending on where his ATB starts. A fun fact, the old strat was actually to try and get Riot Blade. Their Riot Blade or Riot. It's a 1 in 16 chance. Actually, in my PB, I had Riot Blade. I had screwed up. So Terra was really low HP, so I just threw it out there and it happened. Roll into the Ultros fight. Sorry, Ultros fight. So far everything looks okay here. Let's have the weight tracking. Fred's a great runner. Again, it's really minor things at this level that have really caused the differences between the runners.
Yep, their PBs are actually about 30 seconds apart, so anything can still happen here in this race. There's a few pain points that we can still go across that could change the lead very quickly.
Absolutely, I would agree 100%.
So, looking like Fred's doing pretty well over there. His Ultros fight is going pretty swimmingly, so should be on the last attack. There it goes. So we'll jump over to Liin here. He manages to start the 3 scenarios. So we have 3 different scenarios we need to do, which is Sabin, Terra, and Lock. So we're going to go ahead and start off with the Sabin scenario here. We start off with the Sabin scenario because at the end of his scenario, we can get some very helpful items that will make the other 2 scenarios very, very trivial.
Absolutely. The majority of the RNG from this point is Sabin's scenario. So it can, again, it's roughly about a 30-35 second difference at this point, but that's still definitely within striking distance. And even though with Step Route, now that he has reset Step Route, because that gives him a second chance to fix things up. As we see Liin in everybody's favorite camp cutscene. Buttons really fast, and then you'll see Doma Castle, where soon everybody's favorite mustache man.
Mustache man, samurai. Love that guy.
He's 50, I think.
Yes, he's actually quite old compared to the rest of the cast. Who, I don't know if anyone's actually ever noticed this, but in most Final Fantasy games, we actually have at least 1 or 2 characters that are under the age of 12. So it's nice to see that the elderly, our respected elders get a little bit of screen time here. But he's just gonna go ahead and do this leader fight real quick. Cyan actually comes with a cool little command called Sword Tech. What happens is we activate Sword Tech, and depending on the number that we stop on, will determine what attack we want. So in this case, we're going to want to stop on 2, which is our retort, which is the counter attack, which will one-shot the leader.
So unfortunately, Liin was not able to use his psychic powers and get a preemptive versus this leader fight, so he's going to have to wait for leader to attack in order to be able to retort. And then sometimes the leader will, just for fun, counter your counter. And hi. There.
Yep. So we're gonna go ahead and go back to this fight. We didn't really get a chance to go over it, but we had ended up switching our battle speed to 1 for the leader fight because we wanted the leader to get as many attacks in as possible, and battle speed actually is affected by or enemy attacks are affected by battle speed. It doesn't actually affect our attacks, but if it's at 1, the enemies get more attacks, and if it's at 6, they get less attacks. So in that case, we just needed to set it at 1 so the leader can get as many attacks as possible.
I believe the stream's having some challenges. The commentators are using a different link, so watching the RPG Limit Break stream, but the fcoughlin is on both sides. Limit Break up.
Yep. Riku player is on the case right now, so we will try and give you the play-by-play as much as we can. So,
Just think of the radio, guys. Think it's like oldie times. You have to imagine
my voice like this. This is FF6 radio.
It appears to be fixed. Yay! I would just recommend refreshing for those people if you're having an issue. It looks to be okay now.
Yep. We have Fred going through the Scion fight now, while Liin is going to go through Camp Kefka right now. He's running after the counselor. Apparently we have something we need to give him or stop him from doing. Something about some purple stuff.
It's actually funny. If you look at the Kefka sprite now versus the one you see at Narshe, it's a different sprite because at this point the game is so amazingly coded. Kefka's actually in your party, which is why we don't have to change the battle speed at this point.
Yep.
Fights.
So, the coding for that is actually, I would like to believe, as intended, because if you remember, Kefka was in a Magitech armor at the beginning of the game, and in order to get Kefka in that Magitech armor, they had to code it kind of similar to how when our party members are actually in Magitech armor, because Magitech armor, funnily enough, is actually a status effect.
I'd heard that. Also, shout out to Riku player for fixing that so quickly. Restreaming is definitely not a cakewalk, so Riku for fixing that so quick.
Yep. So, meanwhile, it's looking like the first half of the Camp Kefka is finishing up. He's going to go ahead and add the purple stuff to the river, and everyone's going to have some purple Kool-Aid in a little bit here at Doma Castle.
What I imagine is it's the king's birthday. This was like the refreshment table. Buddy got sick all at the same time.
Well,
during the
I have a theory about that, and the second theory is instead of using pure sugar, he decided to use Splenda, and everyone's allergic to Splenda.
Sure. So on fcoughlin side, he's just triggering these cutscenes, and again, Kefka can attack, which you do see there. Some sort of a mace or flail of some sort, which is really unfortunate. Again, because he's in your party, is just ATB, just like you have. Kefka has an ATB, and Kefka was a boss there, unfortunately.
Yep, and Fred is going to go ahead and switch some stuff over here. He's going to take the ninja gear off Shadow, and then equip it on Sabin here, because it's going to serve a much higher purpose on Sabin than it is on Shadow, at least for endgame purposes and going through the Phantom Forest.
Luckily, well, unfortunate that takedown, which is Shadow's counter to being attacked, didn't take out one of the Templars. Guard, which unfortunately slows us down because Fred had an attack already queued. Templar fight is done, but was a little bit slower than. Hopefully, he remembers to heal up Sabin, because 28 HP is actually quite low.
Yep. We actually need Sabin alive for this next part. Well, need is a strong word, but we would prefer that he would be alive through this next part because we're going to go ahead and go through some grunt fighting here. And it's kind of long to go through this fight without all 3 of our party members, so preferably we would like him to be alive.
It's the reason why we pick up Shadow. As we see on Liin's side here, you want him alive for these fights because you have 4 in the first pack and 3 in the second one. And if you only have 2 characters alive, it's just slow. And since it's a speed run, we've got to go fast.
Yep. So we also don't want to see Cyan because we don't have control over him right now. We don't want to see him using dispatch. So as you see, the wind-up animation is very long, and if he just uses a basic attack, these grunts actually just die in 1 hit. So
go off.
So this third fight here is a cadet and 2 grunts. So what we're gonna want is Cyan to either dispatch or attack one of the regular soldiers, and then we can go ahead and take out these grunts another way. But unfortunately, he got a dispatch on the cadet, so we're gonna have to go with a secondary strat here, where we're just gonna have to take out 2 more attacks on the cadet and knock him out.
Not too bad. I mean, could have been better, of course, but been worse.
Yep, still looking pretty good here. Over on Fred's side, he's just gonna go ahead and finish up. He's actually really close to where Liin is right now. I would say he's about a good minute, maybe a good minute 30 behind, which that can actually be determined by 3 points actually off the top of my head coming up here for the rest of the run.
Absolutely, as we heard in the race this afternoon, El Magus with 4th Try-Gal is actually quite a major time loss.
I didn't actually get to see that race earlier today, but if anyone's actually looking for extra races, there's tons more action coming up. We can go ahead and forward you over to our schedule later on, but we have another race after this just to let people know. So if you're looking for more FF6 action, you should just stay tuned to RPG Limit Break.
Pretty bad. Thank you, Riku, for the kid and appreciate it very much. So basically at this point on Liin's side, you're going to use this time to just sort your inventory. Make sure that the items you don't want at the top are down at the bottom, like sleeping bag there. Fried meat at the top. He'll set up to have smoke bombs at the top, and the Phoenix Downs also. This definitely allows you to do that. And you see with Liin using with the rainbow beams.
I do enjoy me some rainbow beams. Inventory management is one of those I don't want to call it a lost art, but it's one of those things that once you get more comfortable with the game, you manage to optimize all the time that you have in between cutscenes and at the end of battles and while you're waiting for transitions and things like that. Once again, that's one of those time optimization things that it's just really good. You see it at the highest of levels in Final Fantasy VI.
Absolutely. A really unfortunate back attack here for Liin. But thankfully the ghost only got off 1 fire attack, so just more of a time loss from a back attack if anything else. We do have recovery spring here, which will bring out back your characters from wounded status, so even if they had died there, really not a big deal.
Yep, it's actually kind of fortunate that he got that back attack there instead of later on in the force. You know, we could end up getting some ugly. Well, you know what? I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
Commentator curse, the game punishing Liin. No, you know we want fcoughlin to come back just a little bit here.
I mean, I do enjoy a close race, but I prefer bad things stop happening by me opening my mouth.
So in those pincers, the ghosts can't be killed by a potion. They are considered undead. I don't know how many hit points they have, but the potion does 250, and that's enough. So usually the strat when you do get a pincer there, and again, all of those attacks are frame based, so unless you're a task bot, to prevent that from happening, you kill the one. Because we don't need levels, we don't need experience from these guys. We've got more than enough experience to get to the end. So basically at this point, it's just about running.
Yep, so here we are. We're just going to go ahead and get on the Phantom Train. There's some more story triggers here. Like Nitz was saying, the ghosts are actually undead enemies. Most of the enemies on the train are qualified as undead enemies, so restorative items do damage to them. So lucky preempted there for Liin.
The game kind of rebalancing the RNG there, saying sorry for that pincer. We'll give you a nice preemptive there.
Yep,
Give you,
you see here Liin's gonna take a couple extra steps and get this encounter inside the train car. Outside the train car, we can get a bomb encounter, which can be very hazardous to our health, so we kind of want to just skip it.
Mount Colts, where the inside enemies were tough and the outside enemies were relatively easy. You want to avoid the outside encounter. There are some places where we can't avoid them, but how it is set up, it will minimize the potential for deaths. So.
Yep, and it will also set up our belt encounter manipulation, so we can go ahead and get through the belt as fast as humanly possible. So provided that there's no missteps on the train between here and the belt, we should be pretty set for recruiting Gao as fast as humanly possible.
Do not have confidence inside the game feeling sorry for Liin and say, you know, we gave him a pincer, we might as well give Fred a pincer as well.
Feel sorry for Liin, man.
Game feels sorry for him. Firewall.
Oof. That is quite the attack.
It's been a long time since I've seen that.
Yeah, so really we don't want any of the enemies attacking us. It takes up time, it messes up turn orders, it makes us take longer to run away. So what we want is the enemies to have pretty bad ATB so we can run away as fast as possible, because the conditions for running away is that we have a full ATB bar and we fill our ATB a hidden runaway bar. So on top of that, it takes a little bit longer to run away if the enemy has an ATB bar that is filled and they are in the middle of attacking one of the characters.
We see Liin again. It kind of sucks. Oh, and he tried to clip through the ghost, and the game's no. At this point, he needs to walk perfectly. If he makes one misstep, and also Blaze. Really on point today, trying to kill both runners.
Yeah, the Phantom Train's not trying to take any prisoners today.
fcoughlin side, Blaze from bomb. Now imagine if you had 3 bombs. So it's definitely good that there was only one, because it could easily mean rip.
Oh yeah.
A smart heal by Liin. Again, a small time loss, but versus death, totally worth it.
Actually, it was actually a very convenient menu to take there, because if you noticed, Liin actually also unequipped Cyan during all of that. So that's a menu he would have taken later on to set up for the Resopos skip. So he actually optimized his time very well there.
And that's what you see at the highest levels of this game. There's doing things like that, like, oh, here, I'm gonna get Blaze, but you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take the opportunity to turn that into an advantage.
Yep, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and start the Phantom Train here. So, fun little note, the Phantom Train is also undead as well. So, what we're going to do here is just throw a restorative item, this case of Phoenix, down on the Phantom Train. And, well, the Phantom Train just comes... Well, he doesn't die. He's already dead. So, I guess he comes back to life?
Something like that. I wish somebody as a kid had told me about that, because casually, that train is actually very rough.
Oh yeah.
In Evil Toot for days. It's
Liin getting past the Phantom train, easy peasy here. Meanwhile, Fred is still hot on his trail. He's actually making really good time coming through the train right now, considering that he had the little snafu with the step route earlier on.
casual 5907 on the train for Liin, and Fred, again, this level, it's insane that he's behind, but yet close to sub 101 train. So
Yep, sub 1 hour train is actually a brisk, wonderful pace for some of the highest level runners here. Anything under like a 101 or a 102 is actually extremely good pace for finishing this category.
exactly, and you can see there Fred on his splits a 59-29 train and a 125 endpoint. So losing time again in terms of overall average runs, like he's still on a really decent pace.
Yep, it's looking to be about a low 101 train, so I'm gonna guess about like a 1 hour 1 minute 20-second train for him. Meanwhile, Liin is just gonna go ahead and finish up this scene right here. So this part where Cyan is mourning over the loss of his family, we really have nothing to accelerate this, so we're going to take this opportunity to do some equipment swapping and possibly some inventory management as well.
Flex validating the run for fcoughlin. So Sab and Suplex emotes in chat. Feel free to spam those. Fred, the winner.
Winner by technicality, I love it.
Fred giving them what they wanted, what they paid, the price of admission. Suplex. Excellent work, fcoughlin. This guy. We see on Liin's side going to Geronimo over these falls here, like crazy people. Otto says, "You're crazy. I'm leaving."
Well, I don't blame him. I mean, who in their right mind jumps off a water?
That's like that waterfall makes Niagara Falls look very small.
Yep. So I mean, not only are we jumping off the waterfall, we're gonna have piranhas pop out of the waterfall and fight us as we fall down the waterfall. This is amazing.
Dead, number one. To handle, swords and do magic and all this good stuff. And use our inventory.
You don't hit A, it resets.
Going to set up here for the Psycho Cyan glitch. Is the game doesn't quite understand what to do with a physical attack and a magical attack. We do this first by killing Cyan off, reviving him with the Phoenix down, throwing the suplex. Gets a little confused and says, "Oh, you must have meant retort." Retorts kills the piranha, and then the game says, "Oh, killed this with retort. GG."
Yep, and for anyone who's wondering where the magical attack may be coming from, suplex is a physical attack, and a retort, funnily enough, is a magical attack. Because good programming.
You win. Quality QA. Again.
So here we're going to be introduced to our main guy, Gao, here, the namesake of our tournament. Hopefully he decides to play nice with our runners today.
On the Velt, we need to give Gao a piece of dried meat to recruit him into our party. After each battle, successfully won, it's a 5/8 chance. Under the following circumstances, Gao would not appear. character is dead, if it's a pincer, if it's a back attack. See Liin getting Lobo Guard here. This is scripted, if you recall, from Narshe, the second battle. So this will always be a pincer. It seems weird that in a speedrun we would want to bridge this encounter, but works. There doesn't seem to be a faster way to get by this. So for now, some new whiz kid comes along and routes a new way. That's the way the route's going to be.
Yep, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's a really quick fight, and there are worse encounters you can get on the Veld, because on the Veld you will end up getting encounters that you have had, and only encounters that you have had so far in the game. It looks like Liin is going to make it up to Moblitz here real quick. Going to sell this black belt we picked up from the leader, and upselling a whole bunch of stuff, and buying the dried meat, which is the story trigger that we need to recruit Gao into our party.
So let me fix that real quick.
So, meanwhile, over here on Liin's side, we managed to get Gao on our first encounter here. We knew what encounter we were going to get because Liin is actually on step route here. And his first encounter will be a single ghost, and his second encounter will be a single bomb. And we're hoping that Gao will show up in those first two encounters here. And then we just, we give him some dried meat, and then he decides to join our party. And that's how life works.
So again, in triggering picking up Gao, giving him the dried meat, making him the happiest little boy on the Veld. Speak with him in this amazingly long cutscene that we haven't been able to figure out how to skip at this point. So let's play whole day for about 2.5 minutes.
I like to think of it as a good break time to remind our folks that this is Kefka and Narshe race, where we race about a third of the game, where we get to Narshe and fight Kefka, and that will be the end of this category. It's a good intro category for anyone who's looking to pick up FF6 and see if they like it and can transition into full game categories.
Absolutely, it's definitely a fun category to run, just for fun. If you enjoy the game like I do, I picked it up the first tournament a couple of years ago, and you know, I enjoy. I might transition to full game runs. I'm still not 100% sure. It's hard for people to commit to 4 or 5 hour runs, so I really get that.
Well, I mean, you can always be crazy like me and transition into the glitchless run, which is 6 hours.
Because 4 or 5 hours wasn't long enough.
Well, personally, this is just me. I do like the way that the end game ends up, and I do like spamming Bum Rush quite a bit.
Yes, I remember as a kid casually spamming Bum.
Because who doesn't like to be Zangief? But,
Here, because Fred had different encounters, he's actually running into 3 ghosts, which be problematic if he here, which he appears to be, but to point out that it's input. I know how that feels. It's definitely important that on step route, obviously things happen, but he's perfect.
Yep, and he's off step route, so instead of having a single bomb, he is getting the triple bomb here, which is a little bit unfortunate. So, just to reiterate that Gao cannot show up if any of our party members are dead, so we're hoping we don't see any blazes off of any of these bombs here.
Also, encounters that are in there that are 5-pack encounters, he will not appear on those encounters. Where he sits in the enemy party. No 6th slot for him to sit in, apparently. But we do find him second try. Bounce around all happy as a clam. As we do see Liin's about to head into the trench here. This is the last part where major RNG can kind of skew the game. For a good trench for Liin, and see what happens. There are 4 encounters minimum, so because we want to go fast, we manipulate. Well, we don't manipulate. We go right, and then we go left, and that ensures that we only run into 4 encounters. Then that you can run from these encounters, even though you're underwater. Good television. See a preemptive first off here for Liin, so he's probably excited about that.
Yep, it's looking good for Liin's side here. And just remember, we're able to run from battles underwater because we have a helmet, a single helmet that lets all 3 of us breathe underwater.
Overthink it, guys. It happened. Cyan, unfortunately, while having this cool retort skill, has the negative consequence of being the slowest, or I believe second slowest character behind Bannon. So, really getting him to run from battles is always challenging. If he runs away before anybody else, I call shenanigans. So.
Shenanigans sounds delicious with a side of sushi and a beer.
Another, again, you want to avoid pincer attacks. Back attacks are not great either, but just because the pincers, they can really rough up the party, especially.
Yep, but it looks like Liin's gonna get through this all right so far. Yep, there he goes. That should be the last fight for him. Meanwhile, Fred on his side is coming up to the beginning of the trench.
For that, sometimes we have had races decided. Puexel versus El Magus. Puexel was in the lead going into the trench, and Magus was the trench and ended up winning the race. So.
Yep, the trench could be kind of hazardous because there's a lot of enemies that can do. Besides it taking forever to run from enemies or you getting an unfortunate pincer attack. I believe it was he got a pincer attack on top of an enemy deciding to stop one of his characters, and because you can't run away when you're stopped, it just eats up a ridiculous amount of time.
I do see Liin pick up the extra mithril pike. He will equip that on Edgar just to give him a little extra damage. Under gold, it's on the way. It says to pick up the rune edge, but there are prevailing schools of thought on the rune edge itself. Or not. It's up to each individual winner. There's no wrong way to do that.
Yep, and here we go. We're going to go ahead and start up lock scenario here. We're going to go ahead and save a couple of people. We're going to save this town, or we're just going to go ahead and clip through this guard and end the scenario really quickly.
Let's say if you could explain this clip. Oh. Clip because Liin. Game's hard for Liin.
Yeah, just a little bit. But the clip works as when the guard is in a certain position and you enter the menu and then exit the menu, you actually have a couple of frames where you can walk into the same square as the guard, thus clipping through him, and then you can just go ahead and clip right back out of him and just get out of town.
Then he is saving as the first save for Liin that I've seen. Definitely,
I don't blame him.
Because this cave can definitely pull some shenanigans on you, potentially. So if even if he doesn't have Fred's stream up, just knowing the difference in time, you'd hate for something silly to happen and you die there. It's game over. So
Yep, the cave with the bear is just not fun, especially when sometimes you just get some really bad ATB and there's nothing you can do about it if they just decide, well, your run doesn't deserve to finish today. Congratulations.
Fight here. Fortunately, Liin got a preemptive for the gold bear primordiate. I might, but that gold bear can actually do some serious damage. Fortunately, a back attack. Sabin is dead. It's definitely not the end of the world.
Speaking of major damage, so we picked up this thunder rod that we had basically left in the cave from coming here in the first time. And when you use rods, they are very interesting in the way that it becomes a consumable and it will cast a level 2 version of a spell. But not only does it cast a level 2 version of a spell, it also pierces magic defense. So as you know, Locke doing a lot more damage than he would normally do.
Luck, typically that's in this entire run for us is 1448, which happens to be enough to kill tunnel armor and not actually killing it the way that the game was written out to be, to have the mysterious character cast Runic, which the end of the world.
Runic? Mysterious character? I don't know what you're talking about here, sir. But
it's quality programming, so maybe those are just text boxes they forgot to remove before they burnt the game onto the EEPROMs. So.
Maybe we'll find out in the DLC. That's all the rage nowadays. But Liin is gonna go ahead and move on to the river here for Bannon.
We do see Fred does make it through and has triggered Locke's scenario. I'd say it's about a 3-minute difference, roughly. It would be Liin's match to lose at this point.
Yep, it looks like Fred lost a little bit of time in the saving scenario here, but weirder things have happened.
That's very true. Weirder things have happened, but more often than not, I would say. Could Kefka and definitely cause some challenges for Liin there, but
Are we trying to throw a commentator's curse on Liin?
I'm looking for excitement for the fans.
Oh, okay, I got you. That's fair. An exciting race is always nice.
And again, at this level, it's so tough. They're like, geez, Fred's a really awesome runner. Liin's a really awesome runner. How are they 3 minutes apart? It's really minor things. Like Fred didn't do anything super wrong. It just, minor misstep here and a minor misstep there, and the game punishes you if you fall off step route. Basically, is the game works. So.
Just to put it out there, Fred is still on a really good pace right now. Sub 130 is exceptionally good, considering I think my first run of this was 2 hours. And that was when we started, and if you look at where Fred's time is now, it's just spectacular.
A real clear 1.5 to 2 hours typically. My first run I actually did pretty decent, was a 145. So
yep.
It's tough. Fred's not doing anything wrong. He's just minor missteps have pretty much caused the difference. Anytime you get a back attack, it's 30 seconds. So
another reason why we got smoke bombs is for encounters like this on Liin's screen. But the funny thing is, Bannon being guest character. Unfortunately, there's a very special caveat there that if he falls in battle, we automatically get a game over. So another reason why we get smoke bombs to make this part of the run a little bit more safe.
Yes, thankfully, you can smoke bomb through a pincer. If you couldn't, it would actually be difficult.
Yeah, difficult or take up a lot of time because these are the first enemies we fought at the beginning of the game. So we just prefer Bannon not to take any real damage considering he only has 120 life.
Absolutely. I meant more so in the caves before that where you have first class, they can do some.
Yeah, they can. And the Petrodons on the river, and I mean, Bannon's a piece of, I like to refer to him as a wet noodle.
Something all right.
Yep, so.
Skill beyond that. Stump.
I would like to think stumps have more of a use than Bannon does personally.
Great. What you do is on the river, a turbo controller, a book on it. At that one part of the river, you can just loop around. So you go outside, or you go somewhere else for a few hours, come back. All your characters are level 50. It's
I have never tried that.
You used to do it as a kid all the time.
Never had a turbo controller when I was a kid.
And an official turbo controller. It was one of those controllers.
Very good. So, Liin here is going to go ahead and finish up. He finished up the 3 scenarios, and he's coming to the end of our category here. He just needs to finish up the what I like to refer to as the tower defense of the game, where we're defending Bannon and we're supposed to fight a bunch of enemies. But we're going to skip all of that and just go fight Kefka. And once we hear the running animation from Kefka after we defeat him, that will be the end of our race.
And again, Liin on just about PB pace. Team, the end of the previous scenario. So looking at a really, really low 125 at this point. 24?
I think 124 is not possible, but I mean, unless he does the thing, but I believe I'm the only one crazy enough to do the thing.
Scratch. A wide margin. I'm just looking at
it in my I do it in my glitchless attempts now because it's actually more beneficial to do that menu there than it is to sit there and wait for the soldiers to go by and do the menu in between everything.
Apparently his best is a 910. So if I do the math on the split, it could still be a 124.
Ooh.
Clearly.
Some good rolls on Kefka would probably be the determining fact for that.
And Fred's still, like I said, anything can still happen until he goes. Could still ice to everybody if Liin misses an input, and we've seen he has missed so it's definitely possible.
Yep, that's actually ended up my demise in the tournament actually ended up with a mass ice 2 on the party. As you see Liin here saving for safety purposes. I do not blame him in any way, shape, or form.
In a race situation, even in a single elimination, his last save would be before the trench. So, which would happen if, for whatever reason, his party gets annihilated. The cutscene continues. Enemies get up to Bannon, and then it's ripped from there. So, definitely a smart play to do in a race scenario.
Yep. The gap seems well enough that if he does end up ripping, he can actually get to the save, and it would be a relatively close race at that point. But
I think this fight time's about a minute and a
Liin teasing us with the thing. He walked up, then walked back.
Oh boy.
I don't blame him. The thing is crazy. It is a trick that can save you 8 seconds. I believe it was timed out to be 8 seconds, or it can cost you over a minute.
Interesting. He back rows Sabin and Cyan for safety purposes. I can only imagine. A big hit on Edgar, taking about half his HP. Here. What we want to do is get both of Sabin's Orbolts go off before Kefka gets his second turn. That will allow us to do enough damage to turn. Sometimes that's not possible. So get the second Orbolt off.
Yep, and it's looking to be a low 125 here. So it looks like Liin has officially clocked in with a 125.11. Congratulations to Liin.
To Liin, and he will be moving on to the winner of, again, somebody else. Not quite sure. I don't have the bracket.
I think that race that for who he will be racing is to be determined. I'm not exactly sure how we set up the bracket for the bottom end. I believe Liin ended up in as the 3rd seed. Essentia was the 2nd seed.
I think Lin's the 4th seed. Von is the 3rd seed.
Okay.
So would be in the bottom of the bracket.
Okay.
Against the winner of Von.
Potentially. We will have to see, but for everyone who is who would like to know all of this, you can go ahead and Moobot is putting in the schedule into the chat, so you can go ahead and follow us there. We have plenty of Final Fantasy VI action. We're not even done for tonight. We do have one more race, I believe, tonight.
And there'll be some amazing commentators coming up. 23 and in the next match. They are excellent people. See here, I do have the bracket now up. So it appears as though Liin will face the winner of... Oh, Liin will face Tina, since we know Tina has won. So it'll be the top half of the quarterfinal bracket is set. It's Tina Hex. Shout out to Fred, definitely coming in with looks to be 127. Again, really good time. If you look down up and down the standings, a 127 probably wins you. Definitely.
About halfway through the tournament, a lot of 127s, 126s started popping up. So this time is a very competitive time. So we'll go ahead and give Fred your energy. Let's see him finish this up pretty strongly here. Once again, we're hoping to get our Orbolts in before Kefka gets his second attack, so he does not get a third attack here.
Kefka picking on Edgar.
Okay, this is looking to be a little dangerous. We do want Edgar to stay alive, so he's a major source of damage there because of the Genji glove that he has equipped.
Will die. Poison will tick for 5. At this point, or we're just at this point, and it looks as though he is good. And Fred is through with the time of 128.45. GG to Fred.
GG.
Again, 128.43, still great time. Again, when you get to this level.
All right, I'm over here to just say we're moving along pretty fast here. We've already got our next match all set up, basically. I've been working on just changing stuff on the layout currently, so the layout looks weird right now for who's all just ran, but we've got our next match coming up, which is Holy Smith against the Cove. Or flip that over. And sure to follow these runners. And follow the commentators. And we're going to move on to the match where we have Von and Couch commentating for us.